Hey, welcome to the Get More Calls Now program with Al and Al. I'm Al.
I'm Al.
Yeah. Okay, and that's me with the polka dot, and that's Al expressing his masculinity with a nice pink shirt. I love this picture, Al. We had a great time at that seminar.
We did have a good time with that. Yep.
It's fun to bring that up. And once a month at Bare Bones Biz, we put on a webinar, and the intention is that it's going to be free, it's going to be fun, it's going to be informal and a little bit freewheeling, and it's going to share some information that will be of service to you. That's always our intention. And this month, my guest is Al Levy. Al and I have worked together for about ever now in our careers, but we tell stories differently every time we tell them. But basically, Al and I met through a mutual friend, Dan Holohan. And I don't know if he told me to find you or you to find me or whatever.
No, he told me. He was very insistent to. I said, you have to connect up with Ellen Rohr and Hot Rod because they're really progressive contractors like you. And that was it. I got my marching orders.
And then I remember when I was working at a trade association, and Al was a member, and as a salesperson for the organization, Al was in, so I was getting ready to ignore him. Isn't that what you do once you make a sale?
That's right. People? The difference between what do you call it? The difference between a prospect and a customer.
Exactly. So I was getting ready to ignore Al, and I remember the first time we went out to dinner. You asked me to go out to dinner, and you brought an agenda to dinner. And I thought, man, this guy takes life and business pretty seriously, but not without a sense of humor either. But that's how we became fast friends, and we've been friends. I think that was close to 20 years ago.
Yes. You were just a child.
I know. I was just a pup. So Al and I have been friends since then, and we both have consulting companies. We have different areas of expertise. Al's arguably the best operations man I've ever met. My focus is on scorekeeping and the financial area of business. We both work on business planning, and Al has really dragged me kicking and screaming into this world of marketing. I was always a little intimidated by the concept of marketing. As a contractor, my own efforts often fell short, and as a franchisor, man, I could get something to work in one area and it would never work in another area. It was pretty humbling. And Al, through your experience and your systematic approach to things, we've developed this program. And the Get More Calls Now program is a webinar series that Al and I have delivered one too many, like in a webinar setting before, a 4-pay seminar before, over the course of many months. And we've also made it available as a turnkey program. For the sake of our discussion tonight, we're going to use this as an open topic. This is a free webinar. We're going to give you as much as we can pack into an hour, but we're going to share with you our overall approach to marketing, and we call it Get More Calls Now. Does that work by way of introduction, Al?
It does. I think for me, Al, and I've shared with you over a period of time, and some people I recognize in the call or people who know that I talk about, my dad was a serial entrepreneur, and you met my dad, Irving.
I did.
One of the things that he impressed upon me is that everybody loves to tell me how their business is different, but they're all about the same. And basically what I created was the 7 power concepts, for planning, operations, staffing, sales coaching, and financial, but ultimately marketing. And the point of it is that you could do everything right, Al, do it all right, everything I just rattled off. And if you don't make the phone ring often enough, and with the right people at the right time, you're going out of business. That's the awful truth. And because of that, we have to pay attention to make sure that we make the phone ring in what I like to call a marketing funnel. If you think about a funnel like you'd be filling oil in your car, the bigger you make that funnel, in other words, more people who desire your services, the more selective you as a contractor or whatever business you're in can be about who you're going to go run to, and are obviously ultimately be able to make more profit. That's what this is all about to me.
Nice. I think that's a nice way to kick things off. And I'm gonna introduce some rules. We are going to have rules of the game today, Al.
I love rules.
I went too far. Hey, okay.
One of the rules is to stay on the right slide.
AA meeting, because, who hasn't been to an AA meeting? So we're going to use AA rules. It works if you work it. I think this is the #1 rule of what we want to share tonight. If you take a systematic approach to marketing, as opposed to getting fired up 1 minute and then ignoring it for the next 6 months. If you take a systematic approach to marketing, if you measure your results, if you put a plan together and work that plan, marketing works like any other system. So in AA, they say it's a great program. It works if you work it, and certainly that's going to apply to the concepts that Al and I are going to share tonight. Another concept to keep in mind is take what you need and leave the rest. We're going to give you some very strong opinions about what we like best when it comes to basic marketing drivers, those things that make the phone ring or designed to make the phone ring. If you've got something that's working for you, by all means, continue to use that. You know, you're ultimately going to be the expert on your business. We're happy to share a fresh perspective, but if we share something that's not resonating with you, our feelings won't be hurt if you don't pick up that tool and use it. And the wisdom to know the difference. There are some things that you can control and some things you can't. In AA, they have the Serenity Prayer, and it goes something like, give me the courage to change the things I can. What's the one that
I think it's basically what you're onto, Elle, is that let me know that what I can control, and let me understand what I can't control is the essence of it.
Yeah, and then the wisdom to know, to give me the strength to change the
know the difference.
And the wisdom to know the difference. You know, a lot of people are going to talk about the economy, especially now. But note if that person who's railing on about the economy has been railing on about something for the last 29 years. You know, what can you control and what is outside of your power? And if it's outside of your power, like the economy, and I'm using air bunnies, there's not anything you can do about it directly. Indirectly, the success you bring to your own company will have a deep resonating effect on the whole economy. So the wisdom to know the difference means that work on what you can affect, and you can affect your business. Your choices will make a difference as to the success of your business and ultimately the paradoxes to the economy as a whole. I kind of got on a little
you know, and I'll pull you back from the economy aspect of it, because since we are talking about, it's a valid point.
I was laughing. I kind of went down a bunny trail.
It's only because it is such a powerful thing. You know, you and I have separate businesses. We get the calls all the time. Well, I really can't be doing well because it's the economy or whatever other kinds of things. And you know, maybe in March of 2008, you certainly could say it, but you and I both know, Elle, that somebody called somebody for some service today. Why didn't they call you? And we've had companies that we've worked with since 2008, and actually probably before that, that are busting the charts. So be careful about the myth that you begin to believe. That is how I would.
I think that's a nice way to wrap that up. Very well done. Al and I are both of this opinion, too. The survey says it's about clarity. Note this about today's webinar, is that getting really, really clear on the big business questions. What do you want? Why do you want that to happen? You know, how are you going to make that happen? How much are you going to charge? Clarity about your overall business plan is essential when we talk about the subset of marketing. All right? So the business owners with whom I've associated, read about, counseled, and even when I'm on a roll myself, the characteristic that is consistent in success is clarity. What is it that you want? Why do you want it? How are you going to make it happen? The details of marketing we can figure out, but the clearer you are on the overall picture of your company, the more successful you're going to be. What do you think about that, Al?
I think that's right on target, because if you're not clear about what you want and you're only clear about what you don't want, you'll get what you don't want. How's
That's
that?
so true. That was probably my mantra all day today on the phone.
I hear you.
Excellent.
I hear you. So
leave
us in,
Al.
Al.
Down the glove. I mean, you've got two experts on the phone today. You have got at your disposal a lot of firepower and a means to use it. On your control panel on the webinar, the control panel is that gray box that appears on the right-hand side of your screen unless you've moved it around. If it's collapsed, you may find that there's a little orange box with a white arrow in it. Click on that again and your control panel will pop up. Find the control panel and find the area that has questions or chat, either one. I've got both those boxes open on my second screen here.
Huh?
If you want to type in a question, if you want to say hey and just test it, that's good. If you want to type in a question as we progress, do it, because we will be paying attention. If Al's talking, I look. If I'm talking, he looks. We pay attention to the questions that come through on the control panel question box, question field. So we're throwing down the glove. If you came with a specific question, if you've got an aha moment that you want to share, ask the question. We'll get as far as we can over the course of the next hour. But if you don't ask the question, we can't answer it. And we really want you to get as much out of tonight's opportunity to visit with us as you possibly can. If we don't understand your question, we may unmute you on the phone and ask you to share with us directly and maybe even engage in a little bit of a dialogue too. So be prepared for that as well. And we're recording, Al, so I better not swear. Fair enough?
Yes, you better not swear, and got to get us rolling here, girl, so
okay.
go for it.
Okay. Al said before, you can do everything right, but if the phone doesn't ring, you're out of business. Another way to say this is you can get all the systems handled, the financial systems. You can get it fixed and done so that you never have to fix it again. You can just maintain it. You can do the same with operations and technical training at your company and all sorts of areas of your business. You can get on a pattern that just takes a little tweaking and adjusting and accommodation for new technology. Marketing is the one that will forever challenge you. And if you don't get the phone to ring enough with the right number of calls at the right time, you're going to be out of business. So if you've been challenged by marketing, you're not alone. But let's see if we can't make it a little bit easier. Steve asked, how long is the webinar going to last? Till the top of the hour. So it's a 1-hour webinar. It's going to go fast. So we're going to go big picture for a moment. Al, why don't you describe the importance of a marketing plan?
Well,
and what it is, like the importance of it and what it is.
I think the best thing is to talk about one of the concepts that I really got a good, clear grasp on. If it's not written, it's not real. And until I finally took a system like operations, staffing, things that I did, they didn't have any traction. They were just good ideas that were scattered about. And I applied the same thing to marketing as when I was tutored about how to get better at marketing. So marketing is really, in writing, the following things. Budget, which means a portion of your budget, a percentage of your budget preferably rather than dollars alone, is dedicated to marketing. So every year there's a certain amount of your money that's going to be going towards making that phone ring, what we were describing. And there are good rules of thumb now for budgeting and some of the rest of it, but the trick is to be consistent about it. As to what the number is and how your range is, that varies depending on the area, what you're doing. Some companies have enough calls. All they want to do is make sure they replace people who die, quit, and move. So that might be the case. But if you want to be aggressive, you've got to put your money where your mouth is, and that is a percentage of your budget. Does that work for the first one else?
Can I jump in here a second?
Yes, please.
From the financial standpoint, we all know one of the challenges with budgeting is, well, how do we predict the future and how much do we, we could budget for $1 million and then we're halfway through the year and we're only at $500,000, and that, could be played out for any size company. Sometimes the easy dollars to cut are the marketing dollars. Like Al said, an overall percentage of sales on an ongoing basis is recommended so that as your sales grow, your marketing dollars continue to grow. However, you could also have a bare minimum dollar amount, that there are some dollars that are going to be spent no matter what. And that really leads us to the allocation, which is which drivers or marketing vehicles are we going to spend this money on? And Al and I recommend that you focus on a few and then you test out and play out perhaps several others. So let's talk about the allocation as the second part of the marketing plan.
Yeah, there are hundreds, thousands of ways to go to market. I mean, you can't go to a supermarket and not be bombarded by advertising on shopping carts and everywhere else you go. So somebody asks about Little League or any of the other kinds of things, and you think that they're, small cost. What's the harm if I advertise in maybe a flyer or whatnot? The problem of that haphazard approach is you begin to waste your firepower. And the way I describe that is, instead of buckshot, your goal is to get to rifle shot. You want to concentrate your budget into the right set of drivers that fit you. For me, it's really been focusing about 3 main drivers. That doesn't mean you might not have 1 or 2 extra ones, especially ones that you know are working, but 3 main drivers, 3 ways to reach your customer have to be at the center, and they're the ones that get the effort. Time, energy, and money is what I call it. Time, energy, and money are dedicated to those 3 drivers.
Even if it gets a little tight, even if sales are down.
Yes, because they're only going to go worse without that.
Mm-hmm.
But a part of course, is what Ellen teaches is you have to measure. Otherwise, it'll be a gut influence rather than what's science. And we'll talk about how to take it from art. Because marketing starts as art. The more you plug the numbers back in, the more you measure things, the more careful you are about a systematic approach, which is what this is about, the more you approach more like a science and can expect and, demand, if you will, the kind of results you want, or you're going to find another marketing thing to do it. The last of this is calendar. And I would say, I'm laughing because I was guilty of this, Al, is that all of a sudden the phones get quiet and you go, what happened? What do we need to do? And scrambling around. You had a really good piece you were putting together for mailing out or something of that nature, and somebody didn't call the phone company years ago when Yellow Pages actually worked. Nobody remembered to, make a change to the ad, and all of a sudden we're all off the calendar here. There's nothing much going on. So one of the great disciplines, and it certainly should be tied to when you do your budgeting, is to also do calendaring. So if you know that every spring there's rains hitting your area and that sump pumps would be a great thing to sell, you can't wait till the rains are already hitting to get that. You need to have the pieces on the shelf already set up and have them so they're arriving frequently enough, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that, so that you get the impact that you desire. Calendaring is what keeps you marketing through the year and takes what can become a big, deep hole when calls stop, especially some seasonality fits into it, we can turn it into a mild trough. That makes a big difference to your bottom line.
Woohoo! And then tracking, I'll take this one. Tracking is a way of measuring what you're doing. Do more of what works and do less of what doesn't. The 3 statistics that Al and I track are the number of calls per driver, the cost per call per driver, and then a third statistic that's more interesting than essential is the dollars per driver divided by the cost per driver. That's called the return on investment, or the ROI. It's not technically an ROI, but for some reason it's called that in marketing. So the three things you want to measure is how many calls do I get per driver, per marketing vehicle, the cost per call, and then the return on investment. So if I get $100,000 worth of sales and I spent $10,000 on the marketing piece, I've got a 10-to-1 ROI. Those 3 statistics will tell you a whole bunch. Now, what we just laid out, Al, we did it in like 3 minutes. We described what the marketing plan is. We cannot underline this enough, that if you don't have this in writing and actually in place, it's really hard for you to know whether or not what you're doing is working. You've got to take a systematic approach to it. What we just described is really, really easy. As Jim Rohn says, the challenge is sometimes it's even easier not to do it. So if we haven't blown your mind with the originality of what we just shared, hopefully we've gotten your attention with the simplicity of it and our call to action for you. Put a marketing plan in place. Get it in a binder. So you have something you can hold your hands on and keep moving on this.
Well, Ellen is nice, and I still have a little ex-New Yorker in me. And I'm going to tell you that you may have a marketing plan. I doubt it's in writing. And if you do have a marketing plan, I doubt you've been keeping it up and fresh. And if you do have a marketing plan that you have been keeping up and fresh, how good is your calendar? Because if you have all of that, then you're off to a great start. And so pay attention, because we're going to keep on moving the momentum.
Sweet. All right. Well, let's talk about our 3 favorite drivers. Now, again, if you got some at work at your company, please don't stop doing it. But we do want you for the span of the rest of this hour to consider our 3 favorite drivers, why we like them so much, and we're going to teach you the basics about how to really utilize these 3 drivers in your company. Not time to get into super depth about them, but to at least get you, off and running. Our 3 favorite drivers are laser-focused direct marketing, friendly e-marketing, and win-win-win acquisition. Now, direct marketing often falls flat because of how it's done. We're going to give you some keys to doing it really effectively. Friendly e-marketing, wow, if you want to open up a can of worms, this would be the label on the can of worms. There is a lot to learn about e-marketing. We're going to share some basics, but I will tell you my 26-year-old son has never opened the Yellow Pages, probably never will. So the world has changed, as you are aware, and we all have to stay on the cutting edge of e-marketing. The good news is you're not that far away from being on the very front edge. This isn't that old, e-marketing. And then the third driver and our most exciting information is win-win-win acquisition. We may just blow your mind with what we have to share about acquisition. Fair enough? And are there more drivers? Sure. There's referral marketing. My friend Howard Partridge, and I know Al knows Howard too, and is a buddy of his. He's got a great referral marketing program. I mean, there's if you are in the Yellow Pages, there's ways to do Yellow Pages really, really well. We're not going to talk about anything but these three drivers for the sake of our call today. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Now, Al, this is how I set this up. I've got one slide per driver to kind of give a nice chunk of content per driver and give us a little platform on which we can discuss each type of driver. So what I'd like to do is define what laser-focused, testimonial-based direct mail is first, and then we're going to break down what makes a great testimonial, as it's essential to putting together really great direct marketing. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Okay. Oh, by the way, look at as I described that. Look at what Mike wrote on his question box. Thanks, Mike. That was cool. All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about direct marketing in general. Laser-focused, testimonial-based direct marketing is small batch direct contact with your target market, with people who you would be a great fit for. And as I say this, think in terms of neighborhoods. Think in terms of your absolutely favorite customer and where that favorite customer lives. And our direct marketing approach is not about sending out 50,000 pieces of anything, 10,000 pieces of anything, maybe even 5,000 is too many anymore. Our laser focused is go find neighborhoods and see if you can't become the guy. And to do that, what we recommend is that you start with a rockin' great testimonial. Now, Al, do you want to talk about how to get a great testimonial?
Well, I'd like to talk about first, why do you need a testimonial?
Okay.
So here's why you need a testimonial.
That's good. Okay.
You need a testimonial because we're adults, not kids, but there's a part of us that's grown up with a bit of skepticism. And so when Ellen tells me how great her contracting company is, I kind of listen to it. But if you guys are my peers or people that live in my neighborhood or somebody that I trust, I'm going to put a lot more weight to you telling me how great Ellen is. And the way that my friend Dan Hollihan that you mentioned said, it's kind of interesting what you say about yourself. What I really want to hear is people like me say about you. That is the power of testimonials. And to get it even more in your face is that if I came to your town and I travel all over as Ellen does, I go to a new town and I want to eat out that night, what am I looking for when I want to pick a restaurant? What do you think? The thing I'm looking for is a testimonial. So if the person I'm working with says, oh, you really got to try this restaurant, somebody at the front desk that tells me about it, or I go to Yelp, and I look for as many recommendations and titles, throw out the worst, throw out the best, but that's what I go by. And the same thing applies to your business. This is the secret sauce, my friends. This, getting testimonials, getting customers or people to talk about how great you are is how you're going to attract new customers, the type of customers that you need, desire, wish for. This is the key, testimonials. And we'll show you ways to multiply this as you go along. But testimonials are, now how I got testimonials through the years at my own business and how I've been teaching contractors to do this is the best way is when you're out on a job and you finish up, if you're doing a big installation, we typically set up to go back a week or two later just to check everything over. And then, if you're up to a role play, I can share how I do it. Yep.
I love to role play. Let's do
nice.
it.
Well, Ellen, I'd like to come back and check everything over and make sure it's running just as we set it up to be, so you get everything that you paid for today and more. Is it all right if I stop back next Tuesday?
Yeah, that'd be great.
So I stop by Tuesday, I check everything, go over any instructions, make sure it's pretty good, and I go, Ellen, if there's anything that you want me to do or anything that I've missed here, please let me know. But if you're really satisfied, we love when great customers like yourself tell other customers that we hope about how great it is. And if you would be up for it, we'd love to take a photo as well in front of this equipment, just like this nice person on the screen is showing here.
Woo-hoo.
And you'd be surprised how many times you will get that answer, and the answer being a positive answer. Matter of fact, we have somebody on the call who said, yes, thank you for showing off. She's showing off her technological savvy.
The highlighter.
You are good, Al. You are good.
Okay,
yeah.
There's some fear that comes with asking people for a testimonial, but imagine what that little change can do, what that tiny change can do. If you're afraid of asking for a testimonial, the real hard question behind that is, are you doing such a great job that people would want to brag on you? And if not, operationally, should you maybe address that? Big question.
Mm.
And if you are doing such a great job, put your fear aside and ask someone if you could jot down their words while they said a couple of nice things about you. And one of the ways I like to do it is to say, Al, I love having you for a customer. You're always nice to us. You pay our prices, and we're not the lowest price provider in town. I so appreciate that. You're nice to me and my team when we come by. Last time Joey was here, you made him some cookies, and that was well received. We all heard about it back at the shop. So thank you for being such a joy to work with. Now, I've already softened things up. I've already told this guy how much I love him, and there is not enough of that in this world as far as I'm concerned. And now the way the energy works, too, if I were to ask my customer after saying such nice things about him, and these have to be true and heartfelt, but if I share that with him, and then I say, would you mind saying a couple nice things about me? I mean, you always call us and you have other choices. What is it about us that causes you to call us time and time again? Or one of Al's great questions. I love this. I'm going to share this one, Al. What were you afraid of before we showed up that just didn't happen? How did we calm your fears when we showed up compared to what you were expecting? Because a lot of times people are expecting someone no call, no show, or to smell bad, or to be filthy when they show up. It's sad, but it's true. When you ask your customers what they were afraid of and how you allayed their fears.
Well done.
Their fears, is that the right word?
Yeah, you did. Yeah,
and,
excellent use.
It can be worth jotting down. You do the writing, because they may or may not fill out a comment card. I love comment cards, but if you are in charge of writing down their nice words, now we know you're going to get a testimonial. And Al, let's talk about. I want you to break down what makes a great testimonial, because we've got a great testimonial example right here.
Well, a lot of testimonials, it's great if you give a couple of words. One of the things I will caution in one of the forms that we have available as part of our program is a customer survey form that really kind of jumpstarts this, because you can always mail them at the end of the day. I did that too. But what we need are their words talking about how great we are, whether you get them from them to write it or, like Ellen mentioned, you'll take their words down. Either way. But a powerful testimonial is when you have a person's face to connect to. It's not the equipment. If you see what dominates this, at least 50 to 75% of your photo is that happy, smiling person. Because that happy, smiling person is who I want to be when I need whatever I need, my plumbing, my heating, my cooling, my air conditioning, whatever I need fixed or replaced, that's what I'm going to be looking for. So that great picture gets that connection going. Their words, which are the things that you're getting, and Ellen said capturing in one way or the other. What we are talking about here, though, is how do you get into a great testimonial, and it's a rocking good headline. Back in the old days about newspapers, the whole idea is the headline, and you still watch the New York papers like our good friend Tebow, who's now going to New York. Those headlines, they are masters. Yes. Well, Tebow has really got New York on its ear now with his latest rival there. But the idea is that they're always writing great headlines, which make you read on. The idea about a headline is it makes you read on. I call it a ruiner as well. This expression ruiner just means that I put you in a bad place so that I can take you to a happier place. So a good example, I started earlier today talking about you could do everything right, and if the phone doesn't ring, you're going to go out of business. Now, if I can help you avoid that, would you like to know how?
Very good.
And That's
Very
an
good.
example
And
of
so
a Rohr
those
headline.
two, what Al's got, what we have here for an example, our headline, we do have one regret, is a compelling statement. Like, God, what would the regret be? It causes you to read on. But the headline came from capturing enough words from Mike. So if the technician is writing, we're going to get some good words. Now, Ray, thank you for your lovely comment. And hi, back at you. I love you, Ray. And I love what you do. You have grown your company really fast with some great word-of-mouth advertising. I think one thing you guys could explore is jotting down testimonials while you're on the job, because you're going to get more words. If you ask them a follow-up question, a lot of times these comment cards, these testimonial surveys and stuff come back with great, terrific, super professional, nice guy. That doesn't give us enough fodder. So
or a checkbox. A checkbox doesn't get you much.
Exactly.
Yep.
All right. So the quality of your testimonial is something that will really enhance the quality of your direct mail piece. Now, as you put your direct, let's press on from this topic to at least, or press on within this topic for a few more minutes, Al. Let's talk about some guidelines for direct mail testimonial. One of the comments we got is that someone sent out 6,000 letters. Is one mailing of any kind, Al, an appropriate mailing?
Yeah, the answer is a screaming no. Because think of it, I just want you to think, don't be the owner of a company for a minute. I magically changed you. You are now just a person going home. You get home, you got a bunch of mail to open it. What is always underneath you as you are opening your mail?
Trash can.
Trash can. And you just flip through it because we're trained to kind of do it. You will not, I don't care how beautiful your piece is, the likelihood the first time they see it that they'll pay any attention to it. So it's the repetition that counts, and it's the oversized, like a postcard is one of my favorite ones, versus something that they have to open up in an envelope. You have to be a master, I mean a great master of direct mail marketing to get somebody to open up an envelope and look inside it. That's one of the toughest things there is. And there are people who can trick you into opening the envelope because they make it look like a government thing. I don't know about you, Al, but everybody I've ever asked, when they do that, I make it a special extra effort to never use those people.
I get you on that. So the key is, too, now I just got a comment from Ron. Thanks for sharing on that. Ron, you've got those printed, and you're going to get them out there. Do not sit on them. Be sure to send out those postcards. My caution to you would be to buy a postcard in that kind of bulk, because if it doesn't work as well as you'd like it to work, you've already got them printed. So our encouragement, I mean, Al and I have done this, but, you know, hey, the price gets good if you buy 100,000 of something, and we'll send them out during the course of the year. If they don't have a testimonial on them, boy, I wouldn't send it out at all anymore. You know, with the exception if you've got it printed, you know, it's probably worth sending out maybe in conjunction or with a interlacing of a testimonial-based postcard. Like if you then sandwiched in testimonial-based postcards and send them in smaller batches so that you can test what works. If you send 3 batches of 1,000 and no one calls, I would change something.
You know, Al, that's a good point, because I didn't get to I do want Ron and others to know here. One of the things I advocate is, because that was what I was taught by Leo, my marketing guru, is that we mailed 3 mailings 2 weeks apart. So over a 6-week period, we mailed the same piece. The other thing I usually get is people go, well, they'll be tired of the message. And Leo was that subtle. He goes, by the time you are tired of your message, they are first hearing it. Do not make yourself a moving target. So pick one piece, use a small sample like Ellen's talking about, maybe 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, mail it 3 times over 3 weeks, pick the right time, track, and find out how well it is. It will be much stronger with a great Rohr headline, a great testimonial, and a picture. That will actually, then you have to have a call to action, which we haven't gotten to, El. At the end of this, what do you want me to do? Should I call now for the next 2 weeks to get something? What am I going to have? So that's kind of the issue of something else that we need to do. And El, thanks for pointing about that, the name, the whole name. When you see like TS and there's no town or I kind of think you made it up.
I love that point.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
so thanks
why the autonomy? People don't
MC.
put their names out there. Ask them if you can use their name. They're going to say yes most of the time. Hey, Ron wrote some really fun comments. Good.
Go
Ron,
ahead. Go for it, Al.
that aren't printed yet. You could kind of layer them through. Here's one other thought, and then we should probably boom out of testimonials and onto
Go, Al.
But you can do really mini-sized test markets. And the first person I would mail to, the first group of people I would mail to with a postcard created around this testimonial would be Mike's neighbors, right? I mean, don't work so hard because they're going to see him. They're going to ask him. You might be able to send 100 postcards, and they may all have a similar situation. So the call to action might be on a whole house water filter, which you installed in Mike's home because Mike has really aggressive water. Well, so do all his neighbors. So now you've got a product, a guy, a market. Do this 3 times, and then you might as well drive your trucks through the neighborhood, knock on a few doors, stop by on a nice sunny Saturday when the neighbors are outside, and make a few friends. If you're willing to really leverage this direct marketing approach, you're going to get the phone to ring. It takes a little courage and a little creativity. So now, Amy, you've got a question. I'd like to see other comments. How do I do that?
I think she's talking about the questions that we're seeing. We have the control panel. They don't see it, Al.
Amy, tell me more. Tell me more about what you want, and then we're going to address your question. All right, now we're going to jump over to e-marketing basics. However, testimonials play a role here, and I'm going to let's talk about basic e-marketing. And I want to save most of our conversation for acquisition. But when it comes to e-marketing, what Al and I want to really emphasize is that the basics are going to apply no matter what the form is. In the e-marketplace, it's all about relationship building. You can't be asking for the sale all the time. You can't have obnoxious spamming or junk mail-like email going out there. You want to create a relationship, become known as a resource, just like you would in any other kind of marketing. Does that make sense, Al?
It does. We got one that said we lost sound, so open up a mic and make sure we got somebody else, Al.
Okay. I'll try. I'll see Amy. Hey, Amy, can you hear me?
Amy?
Yes, yes.
Oh, hi.
Okay, good. All right, good. Thank you for saying yes.
He typed in yes. And I'm like,
I was going to say, yeah.
The sound, too. So
I can hear you. Got it.
It looks like somebody lost sound. I hope you can get sound back. You might try calling back in because it looks like we're connected on our end.
Got it.
But, Amy, as long as we have you on the phone, what was your question?
No, I was just saying what Al said. I was trying to see what everybody else was typing. You were seeing questions. I thought I was supposed to be seeing them, too.
Okay, Al was right. I got completely confused with that. So what Al and I have are questions that come up because we're the organizers. So he sends us a question. I don't want to bust their anonymity, but I will be a little clearer about what they're asking. Overall, Ron was talking about he had 6,000 postcards he was going to mail out. He has 24,000 printed already, and that led me to kind of a, like, whoa, let me address that question. But he says 14,000 of them are not yet printed but purchased, so it's really fun to be able to help you maybe improve the quality of those postcards, Ron, by getting you focused with a testimonial and a really lean message on that card. So thanks for helping us test the sound, Amy.
Thank you, Amy.
Yeah. Could you just could you spell that rumor headline? Is it rumor or rooter?
Oh, I'm sorry, my accent. It's R-U-I-N-E-R. There's still a little New York in me. R-U-I-N-E-R. And what it means is I'm going to place you in ruin, R-U-I-N. I'm going to make you feel bad because then I'm going to make you feel good. Okay,
yeah.
I'll take it back.
Another example of a ruining headline. Let's see if we can find one. I want to show you. A
plumber that doesn't track mud through my house. Is that even possible?
Have you ever called a plumber and had him never show and never call?
Yes.
Well, I had two, and then boom, boom, boom. Something that puts them in a place. Did you see what Mike wrote? Good idea.
Dear. He's very funny.
Yeah, he's funny, isn't he?
He's funny, but we don't have time today because we're on a timetable.
No, we got to go
fast. Let's go, Al.
I apologize, but I'm going to short shift the e-marketing just because I really want to get onto acquisition. Not that there isn't a lot of fun to have. Here is an example of what we think as a site that has some darn good elements. Now, when it comes to e-marketing, there's email blast. Be getting email addresses from all your customers. Ask them, let them know you'll communicate with them via email. If they say no thanks, then don't bother them. But most folks are going to give you an email address anymore. Don't hesitate to ask.
There's a lot of good tricks about how to get the email address too. Not tricks like bad tricks, but good ways, methods to do that.
Yeah, I mean reasons to give you their email address.
Yes,
like we're going
that's a better way to say it.
Service text on his way. We're going to send a little follow-up, a coupon. You know, there are good reasons to give that.
Well, yeah, right. Or there are some things that are only available to the people who are on our email list, and make sure you honor that. Those
right.
are two good ways to get people's email address. It's better for them and for us because we do have good information to share in e-zines, which is a lot like the website, Elle, so take us to it.
Well, there's always going to want, on anything you do in print or visual marketing, you want to have the testimonial. I'll take that to radio. I mean, testimonial-based marketing is where it's at, that people are, even on the Internet, when it becomes increasingly anonymous, here you have people singing your praises, real-life people with
Yelp.
Yeah.
Right? What did I say? That's
Yelp.
where I'm looking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this website, when you get a website, there's a zillion reasons to make this super fancy, to spend a lot of money. May we suggest that there's two reasons why someone would go to your website, particularly if you're in the service business. It's one, to find out, are you my guy? Have I called the right place? Have I found the right guy? Is this a company who's going to be any good? And the testimonials, of course, are going to play in here. The second reason why someone would go to your website is to get a hold of you. Once they determine that, yeah, these guys look like they know what they're doing, they do the kind of things that I need done, here's some people telling me they're great, oh, I know that guy, I will contact them. So in this case, here we go, super easy, phone number or first name, last name, zip code, get started. Not a bad approach. You can also schedule service right here. They do commercial and residential. It's a little much, you know, I might put less check boxes, but overall, look, more testimonials, how terrific is that? And if you need service now, boom, 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 you can just get going. Call us or fill out the name. You want to make it as easy as possible to have people get in touch with you.
And
now,
I want to jump off the website for just 1 second because in the interest of time this is a great place to park testimonials. Nobody's better. If you go into Ellen's site, you will see her own site where she has them. And she takes them and uses them in email blasts, which means you're sending out to your opted-in list. It means, in other words, they said, yes, I want to give you my email. Or she uses them in e-zines like we both do, because if you are talking to me and deciding whether or not you're going to be hiring me, one of the things you want to know, again, is contractors like you or people that have worked with me, what do they get? So Ellen stores them on her website, and when she wants to use them in pieces, she plucks them out and puts them right into the pieces that she's creating. That's a very neat trick. That works really well, really well.
You are sweet. And if you want to, you can go to my Facebook page. How sweet is that? If you're not my Facebook friend already, befriend me. Then you can get right to my website here, right off my page. Now, what I just did was a nice, subtle way of asking people to come be my friend. If you don't like me, you can befriend me, and so can your buddies too. So to jump into the e-marketing basics is don't overthink it. Get some professional advice.
Yes,
Al and I have
agree.
more to share about this, but for the sake of our time, I think we've got to go into
yeah, I think so too, Al.
testimonials. How important is it to have a Facebook page for your business? I think it's really important, and I also think it's a fun way for you to keep an eye on family members.
And Mike, don't write to me about that. Go ahead, next.
Right, yeah. Amy, I do think you got to. I've been torturing Al. Al doesn't have one yet. I think it's essential. So we'll agree on that one, that we're not going to dive into it anymore. But this is our most exciting piece of content. We've got about 15 minutes left, so we're going to jump into this. Buying companies. What we want to encourage you to embrace is that no matter what size company you have, acquisition is a viable alternative for you, a viable option for you to grow your business. Ron, you talked about a brand new company. If I didn't have a company at all and I wanted to go into the business, as opposed to starting with the direct mail piece, I would start with an acquisition. a small one, maybe 2 or 3 small ones, a big one, you betcha. I would not hesitate to pursue acquisition as a way to grow any company. Al, do you want to share about that?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I want to show off to the question about a ruining question, show them how to use a ruining headline. Buy a company. I have barely enough money to pay my own bills. But here's the question, right, is it is the most surefire way to get a marketing dollar spent and the highest return you will ever get. And here is why. Everything you do in marketing, and I suggest the ones that we mentioned before, laser direct marketing and e-marketing done the right way, are the way to go these days. And there may be some other ones that you have that are returning. But any piece of marketing you do is a hope that somebody will call. When you acquire, whether it's a phone number, whether you acquire a single operator, or you buy a real company, there are people on the other end who are customers who are trained to call that number. And that is how my company was built. Many, many years ago, if my father and my uncle who owned the company did not do this acquisition strategy, there would have been no company by the time my brothers and I, the third generation, showed up. And if we didn't continue this, Helen, there'd be no fourth generation, Michael and the others that are in the business today. This is at the core of what makes the difference. It is the best money you will ever spend in marketing. Now, how you do that, as I ran through pretty quick, Al, it can be really low cost to no cost getting dead phone numbers to swing by.
Well, we're going to talk about that on the next slide.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. You take control. But I want to make sure people don't turn their hearing off and listen to this concept.
You and I are absolutely aligned on this one. This is, don't overthink whether or not you are in a position to do it. You are. And there is the best opportunity is right now. Because if people are buying into the idea that they are 100% dependent on the economy for their success, they may be throwing their hands up right now. And other people who are just, not good business people, have been in business a long, long time, may decide that, you know what, time's up, I'm going to get out. And then age, we call these the 5 Ds: death, disaster, divorce, disability, debt. Those things change a situation. And someone who may have been successful earlier is just deciding, you know what, now is not the best time for me to be in business anymore. I want to transition. So now more than any other time, when there is a downturn in the economy, can mean beaucoup de opportunities for you to create win-win-win acquisition opportunities for yourself and to help a brother out. So when we talk about buying and selling companies, Al, what do you mean by Irving, a sales or a salesman?
That was just a real quick, because of the interest of time, I told my dad one time, I says, I think we really need to ask salesmen, but there aren't enough sales here. And so he started to go around. He goes, you mean I can't get a salesman until I have enough sales, but I can't have enough sales until I have a salesman, but I can't get a sales. And he goes, once in a while you have to just grow up and trust that you can make it work. And so by putting this money to work is an example of it. By investing this small amount, you need to put it there and know that you will get the results. That's what I'm talking about.
That's lovely. Just take a bit of a risk. How big a risk? Well, that's why we want to talk about the spectrum of acquisitions.
It's a really well-directed risk, or I would not lead you down this path.
Absolutely. And when you talk about acquisition, this is how we defined acquisition, as a spectrum. On one end of the spectrum, a spectrum, or think of a pendulum, from
or a rainbow.
There.
Yeah.
Okay, on one end of the spectrum might be a full-blown brick-and-mortar acquisition of a second location. You're buying the business as a running entity. You're going to buy the real estate that goes with it, the trucks, the tools. There's going to be opportunities for all the people who work there. You're going to transition all the customers and make use of the software program. That is one end of the spectrum. We call that brick and mortars, and that's a full-blown second location brick and mortars. Wow, that's a big deal. Let's go to the other end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is you call the phone numbers in your marketplace, you make note of those who have been, the phone numbers that have been disconnected, and you try and secure those phone numbers from the phone company and have them ring into your shop. Okay, that's the other end of the spectrum. So Al, describe a couple of scenarios that one might find in between.
You could have a single operator that you pay as you go, or what Ella refers to as mailbox money, which means you take this person who really has an unsellable company, and you say, look, why don't you go off and retire in Florida if that's what you want to do, and every time the phone rings, we convert the call, we'll send you a check, hence the name Ellen gave it, which is mailbox money. That's a good example.
And what you might notice that mailbox money is owner financed. It takes no money down.
Yes, and that's the other thing, too. Even that big thing that Ellen talked about, brick and mortar, you don't show up with a giant suitcase, plunk down all the money to buy it. It's bought over time. And if you're buying the company, and there's a lot of stuff that we do in this program, which we're going to talk about in a couple of minutes, that already lays out the map. You do not have to learn this on your own. You don't have to make a ton of mistakes. Or as I like to say, I'll step in the hole. Because I've been in the hole, I can tell you that I already have the ways to avoid it. And better than that, I have a way to get you on the right path faster. Between the forms and templates that we have, this process is completely doable at any level you wish to engage.
And the reality is, it's just a matter of a little bit of courage, being comfortable with a little bit of uncomfortableness, and understanding that you can date before you get married. So if you walk down the path of, first opening yourself up to, you know what, I think I could buy a company or two. I could become a consolidator. I could acquire a company. Just say those words. Let them wash over you so they feel a little less awkward. And then for those who've done it, the folks I know who've managed to grow companies in short time, with rare exception, have done so through acquisition. Al, is that your experience?
It is my experience on a personal level, but also the companies I've worked with. And I will go one step further, is that you are never our guinea pig. That is my creed from the day I started doing this work as far as consulting. There's nothing I'm recommending that I haven't done myself, or clients that have worked with me haven't done as well. And to back that up on the website, Elle, which you're going to take them to in a while, you're going to read the words that we practice what we preach. We could tell you how much we think all of this is great. You're going to read the words right on the page of people who have used the exact same systems we're talking about and have enriched their life and grown their company. It works that well.
Let's do this. For the sake of time, we're going to let you know that as we wrap up the call, we did put a page together on Get More Calls Now. It's a program that Al and I are selling that encapsulates it's a do-it-yourself program where you can learn how to acquire companies. Now, we're going to make reference to the website. But before we get off the phone, I promised that we would give you some content so that you could make some things happen now. Whether or not you buy the program is up to you. And I'll tell you, it's a self-study course. If you buy the program, bring yourself to the party. I was noticing one of the fellows who bought the program is on the call tonight, and he can attest we are tough love masters here. If you buy the program, you've got to watch the webinars, use the forms, study the information. The information is very good. It's as clear as anything I've ever written, not saying I'm a perfect communicator, but it is a self-study course. We do want to make sure that you get, before we go there, is the idea that buying a company is an option for you. And I want to crunch some numbers before we do that. Do we have time for that, Al?
Yeah, I do. I just want to add one thing because it came up when you were talking about it. It's not just about acquisition, this program. It does cover in greater detail than we could possibly do in an hour call about how to do laser-focused direct mail, testimonial-based right. And it also speaks to about how to do e-marketing right. So there's other pieces besides this acquisition that fit into that program. Go ahead, Al.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So on the acquisition, I mean, the other marketing tools you've probably got in your toolbox. You may not have used them as well as you could, and we can definitely help you quantum leap your effectiveness with those tools. When it comes to acquisition, the encouragement I want to give you is if you acquired a super small shop that was bringing in maybe 3 calls a day, whether or not they're charging what you're charging, or even if they have a good reputation, the person who's calling that shop may not have heard their bad reputation. Otherwise, they wouldn't call. If you can find a shop bringing in about 3 calls a day, and you converted those calls to your way of doing business, chances are very, very good that you'll keep those calls, that those callers won't go running if they find out the other owner wasn't there. And at your average ticket, you could be looking at $250,000 to $350,000 worth of sales a year from 3 calls a day. Now, with acquisition, what we found with those 3 main statistics that we've looked for, a cost per call, the number of calls, and the return on investment, acquisition always comes up as a real winner when we measure it over time. Keep this in mind. You might have to, what do you think, Al, if you were to start down the path of acquiring companies, how many owners might you have to visit with? How many deals might you have to get cooking before you could count on closing one?
My rule of thumb was always 10 to 1. You're going to look at 10 really good ones to close one, and the one that you close is worth all the effort.
You know who thinks like that? The Sharks on Shark Tank. Have you seen that television show?
Oh, yeah, I did. I've seen that show.
Yeah, so there are some similarities. As you acquire companies, to adopt the headset of a venture capitalist is not inappropriate. That some of the deals may work out and come to fruition, and some of them you may bail on before you sign the dotted line. And but to get your arms around the idea that on a really simple way, if you were to acquire a defunct phone number, you could be doing that tomorrow. If you were to put the word out, just a friendly comment to your supply house salespeople, you know what, I'm looking to help transition companies. When the owner is ready to do something else, you might steer them in my direction. Could get the ball rolling for you. To drop your prejudice against this being something really fancy or complicated or hard. There are lots of reasons why you could benefit by buying companies. Now, we're getting so close to the top.
Yeah, we're running down the end here, Al.
Okay, so let me show you the website. If you go to Get More Calls Now, and you put in your name and email address, I clicked on this, and some of you have done this already. If you put your name and email address in here, you're going to find there's a little video of you, Neo.
I remember that.
That was fun. We were in the car.
Nobody was hurt.
Al 10 and 2 kept his hands
10 and 2.
So you go to getmorecallsnow.com, getmorecallsnow.com, and then put your name and email address in, and you're going to get to another page that's going to give you some more details about the program. Some testimonials, some good information, terrific. When you buy the program, if you're so inclined, you get sent to a page, and the page, I've got it loaded up here. The page is the webinars and all the forms that you're going to need to rock the 3 drivers and put together a sound, written, working marketing plan. So you watch the webinars. This is all on your own. You watch the webinars. You go through the files. And built into this program are 2 half-hour calls with me. Save your calls. Watch the videos, and then we'll plan these calls. I would target the calls around your acquisition action. You can use the phone for any other phone calls for any questions you might have, but this program does come with 2 half-hour phone calls that I can help you specific to whatever action you have stirred up. So the webinars are about an hour apiece. There are 6 of them. We get into all 3 of the main drivers, and it's just a rockin' good program. So it's the top of the hour, and we could stay on a minute or 2 longer, especially if you've got a question that you want us to address. But I just wanted to give you some good information. The hour goes so fast now.
I know, and it doesn't. It's going to sound like a hyperbole. I said, who do you believe? But these are $1 million ideas for really dirt cheap. But it's going to be as good as you work it. And whether, we work with our one-to-one clients, we do exactly what we're saying here. The difference is we're able to sit across and make it go. But even people who take these systems will find the kind of return that they couldn't possibly get. So we're encouraging to reach out and do this. Elle, if they have a question, tell them to take a look at the comments. Yeah. Go ahead,
Ray, I know you're totally kicking it, and you always have a place in my heart. It's been such an honor to work with you, and I'm so happy to hear about your success. So keep up the good work. And Steve has a very good question. This program is $995. You can buy it if you go to the page. You click on it, you buy it, you rock and roll. And Al, what do we have for our everything we sell? Well, look at this. You don't like it? Let me know. We'll refund your money. no problem. I want to make sure this is a good fit, and I tell you, it is going to require that you do as directed. So think about it. You know, if you are going to make acquisition work, this is not a matter of just putting a postcard together and mailing it. But
can I be a New Yorker for a second?
Yes.
You have wasted so much marketing money to this point, and why do I know? Because I wasted tons of marketing money. Don't waste any more. The $9.95 is dirt cheap for that. It's at least going to head you in the right direction. That's how confident. And that's the only reason why we were able to put up a money-back guarantee. And when you do stuff, by the way, whatever you sell or do, put your money where your mouth is. The warranty and guarantees are what makes a difference. We stand behind it.
Al and I want so much for you to use this information. That's why we put it together. The price tag reflects that it's a self-study program, but you do get some time with me and some support to make sure that you can make it happen. We want you to engage the few things that will make all the difference. Engaging testimonials could really make a difference to all of your marketing.
Absolutely.
Getting some simple newsletter together on a consistent, regular basis is going to help you develop community with your electronic media. And then when it comes to acquisition, helping a brother out may be the best thing you ever did to grow your business. So, boy, Al, I wish the hour had gone a little bit slower, but here we are. If you want to go to getmorecallsnow.com, getmorecallsnow.com is the email address, and you can learn out a little bit more. Al, that marks the end of our webinar.
Yeah, I want to say goodbye to our friends. There's so many good names of people that we know and love and work with already, and new friends. So thank you all for showing up today.
Thanks, guys. Love, love, love. And hey, if Mike, you're still on the phone, you're gonna remain on the phone, amigo, and then we'll visit after a couple of minutes. Give me a chance to catch my breath here. So thanks, guys. Thanks, Al. It's always a joy to visit with you on the phone. You're one of my heroes.
Same here. Have a great day, guys. Take care.
Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.